to find out more.
We've come into Speckled Wood, and it surprised me that it's actually here. It's a bit of a hidden gem, really, isn't it? We've got a sort of a stream running through the middle of it. It's a bit muddy, but it doesn't matter, does it, really?
The mud is glorious. It's very tucked away. It's been here, and it's been on maps of Cllr and Gardner since 1776.
What sort of animals, wildlife here that you know of?
Absolutely a huge abundance of mammals, of insects and birds. There's something like about 300 odd species in here.
And we can hear, I think that's a chaffinch, actually, making his presence felt. So what does this actually mean to you on a personal basis?
Really, it's a place of peace. It's one of the quietest places in Hastings.
There's no doubt it is actually really beautiful here, and you can hear the little stream in the background. Trouble is, of course, the southeast of England, everybody seems to want to live here. The demand for houses is very real. Each area has to sort of find room, doesn't it?
It does, yes, but there are other sites which are not being developed. We have the prime case just up the road from us. We have an area which is known locally as the Road to Nowhere. It has sewerage. It has all the facilities to be built on. We've even asked the local cabinet to actually do something that children do, which is to swap the land in the two sites. So if the would-be developers want to really develop, they can actually develop on that site. And the reality of that is that process isn't being done. Some departments in the council don't seem to realise what is at stake here and how much the area is actually being used by the public. My father has played here, his father has played here. It would just be tragic, really tragic, if it was lost.
8:23. Let's talk to Peter Chowney, who's Deputy Leader of Hastings Borough Council. Peter,
hello.
Are you aware how important this is to local people?
Oh, absolutely. It's in my ward, so I'm very aware of it. Marty described it very well there. I mean, it is a beautiful little wooded valley. It is silent and peaceful in there, and until recently, until sort of volunteers opened it up more, people just didn't really know about it.
And yet
it's discovered more now.
It's being chipped away at. That's one of the problems, isn't it?
Well, it's sort of not been chipped away as such. I mean, it's been that area there now, again, as Martin was saying, it's been there probably for hundreds of years as allotments or open space. True, it's been zoned as housing for the last 50 years, but nobody's succeeded in building anything in there, because it has no proper access. It's very steep-sided. It's just not suitable for building anyway, which is why we're hoping to get it zoned as protected open space. But of course, that decision will be down to the planning inspector at the end. But that's what we're putting in our local plan.
Right. Okay. Why has some of the area got planning permission for 34 houses already then?
Yeah, that's the very northern end of Victoria Avenue has had planning permission on it for a long time, and they then applied to renew that recently for an outline planning application. I spoke against that at the planning committee. Unfortunately, the planning committee did decide to renew it, which I thought was a pity, but I don't honestly think that will ever be possible to develop that, because the site, the layout just couldn't work because it's too steep. The drop into the site off of Victoria Avenue, where the access is supposed to be, just drops down 30 feet, and you couldn't ever build it anyway. But I would still much rather there was we could include that in the woodland altogether in the end.
Yes. Okay. And you know, they're concerned because they don't think the council are batting for them. I mean, it's what you say to me sounds like you are batting for them, but I think they need convincing.
Yeah, well, I have tried. We work with Martin quite a lot, actually. We're friends of Speckled Wood and or Community Land Trust, which is the other organisation that organises volunteers in the valley. There is a lot of community interest in it. I think basically, I suppose, we have to work within the planning laws, and unfortunately, in the end, we don't make the final decision on the local plan. So what we put in the local plan has to be at least legal, and also might have to be not so much a compromise, but we've got to make the right arguments to the planning inspector, because it is very unusual, particularly in the current climate around pressure on housing, to have land that used to be zoned for housing use, and you're now making it into public open space. Of course, the landowners don't like that. They've bought the land with a view to develop it. So you've got to have very strong arguments to convince the planning inspector that there is a good case for zoning this as public open space. One of the arguments obviously is the need for open space in that area. There isn't any. And the other one is that you simply can't develop any. It's particularly those arguments.
I thought those were pretty killer arguments, actually.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly.
Well, let's see. Let's see how it goes. Peter, thanks very much indeed.
All right.
It's 8:27. This is BBC Sussex. Neil Pringle here on the.